you have come as a total shock? Because no symptoms, routine, it's your birthday, you go get your physical done. So, speaking on a super personal level, how do you handle something like that, being told you have prostate cancer? How do you deal with something like that?
Well, obviously, we think of our family, right? First and foremost, trying to figure out, what's important to you. It's almost a total heart stop and trying to assess, everything, because our health is everything, right? So without our health, what do we have, right? And serving as an elected official, I thought it was important that, I was very open about it. Everybody deserves to know, if there's something wrong with the elected official, with a medical condition, you need to know. And for me, I didn't know where that path was going to go. I didn't know, am I going to have to miss council meetings? Am I going to do that? And so I wanted to get that out of the equation, and that's why I actually announced not to seek re-election. Not because I don't want to continue serving. I just wanted to focus 100%, on my family and the treatment options that are available. I mean, there's, for me, I was very fortunate that I was diagnosed with early stage. It was early, detected it very early. And so what does that mean? That means that you have more options, what your treatments could be. And so I had, some time to assess that. Ultimately, I decided to have the surgery as well as our former mayor's prostatectomy, removal of my prostate. I felt that was the best course of action. But, I completely changed my lifestyle. I started doing intermittent fasting, and it's different for everybody. All our bodies are different. I learned so much from men that called me that had been through the same process, men that were going through it, trying to understand, do they have the same thing or not? Of course, each of them that will call me about that, I'd say, go see your doctor. I can only tell you so much, for at least from my standpoint, but go to the doctor. I mean, it's interesting as men, I think as Dr. Reese is pointing out, we try to, I guess it's in our nature to try to justify everything, right? Well, it's just that my cholesterol is high. That's why my PSA is high. No, it has no correlation at all. Sorry. At least I'm not a medical doctor, but, we try to justify it. And I've talked to so many, men out there, and at the end, I just tell them, go see your doctor. Go see your doctor, make your appointment, and, that's the only way we could know what is really happening.
Okay. Mrs. Garcia, what, as a caregiver, have you learned that maybe you wish that you knew at the beginning? What have you learned on this journey?
So much. Cancer is a very big word. And it, as the mayor said, it really jolts you into a moment of pause. And I think that the most important thing that I can share for the patients as well as the family members, in this case the spouse, is to ask questions, understand it, because the biggest fear for me was the unknown. The biggest hurdle for me was, what are we dealing with? What are the options? What is life like post-cancer? And have the conversations with your doctor team, because you're not the only ones that have these questions.
Right.
And to the extent that you can understand it, that you can figure out what your next steps are, is how you're able to just kind of accept it and deal with it and get past it and get through it. And that's exactly what we've done. It's just understanding it more. Ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. I probably drive my husband's medical team crazy because I do. I ask 1,000 questions.
And that's okay.
And I do, because he's my husband, and I want to know. And so don't be afraid to ask and ask again if you don't understand the answer.
Okay, thank you.